Many of us have had the experience of hopping in our car, the cool AC blowing in our face, our hands grasping the leathery steering wheel. We turn on our favorite classic rock radio station only to hear the familiar and melodic tunes of the Beatles playing. Hi, I'm Matisse Brown, and today I will share with you some interesting information about the Beatles. Now, if you already feel like you know everything there is to know about the Beatles, this speech will provide you a personal anecdotal about the Beatles. And if you feel like you don't like the Beatles, you don't like music at all, this speech will share how 4 individuals have impacted the world so greatly and changed it. Now, my love for music has stretched ever since I was a young kid. I've been a fan of the Beatles since I was 5 years old. On top of this personal experience with the Beatles, I have performed research through books, news articles, magazines, and the internet to make sure I provide you with credible, valuable, and interesting information. This speech will cover topics such as the members of the band, the career of the band, and the impact they had on society. To start things off, we have Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney was born in Liverpool, England on June 18, 1942. In the 2020 novel, The Beatles and Economies, Entrepreneurship, Innovation, and the Making of a Cultural Revolution, written by Sam Staley, we read, quote, McCartney grew up in a musical household. His father was an accomplished trumpet player, but received lessons in piano. While their parents indulged their children's hobbies, they were hardly supportive of their chosen professional career path, preferring they take more traditional jobs with steadier pay, unquote. Together, McCartney and his friend John Lennon created the iconic core of the Beatles. As their bassist, McCartney helped produce songs such as Yesterday, Hey Jude, and Let It Be. Next, we have John Lennon. John Lennon was born in Liverpool, England on October 9, 1940. He had a passion for music ever since he was a young kid, learning the banjo and the guitar. Pursuing this passion, he attended the Liverpool College of Art. As the band's rhythm guitarist, he helped release hits such as Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds and All You Need Is Love. After the disband, he pursued a solo career, creating incredible hits such as Imagine, Instant Karma, and Jealous Guy. Tragically, however, he was shot in New York City on December 8, 1980. Next, we have Ringo Starr. Ringo Starr was born on July 7, 1940, in Liverpool, England. His early life was faced with many health challenges, such as tuberculosis. However, at the age of 13, he received his first drum kit, and his love for the beat and the rhythm of music grew. Attempting to strengthen and hone in on his drumming skills, he performed with several local bands across Liverpool. As the Beatles drummer, he produced hits such as With a Little Help from My Friends, Yellow Submarine, and Come Together. Last but not least, we have George Harrison. George Harrison was born on February 25th, 1943 in Liverpool, England. He taught himself how to play the guitar. As the band's lead guitarist, he helped release songs such as Here Comes the Sun and Something. His solo career consisted of albums such as All Things Must Pass and Living in the Material World. Now, the Beatles had formed in 1960. Originally, they consisted of John Lennon, George Harrison, and Paul McCartney, as well as drummer Pete Best. Pete was later replaced by Ringo Starr in 1942. In the 2012 novel, The Beatles and McCollum, Understanding the Electric Age, by McFlane and Thomas, reread, quote, following a 2-year climb to the top of British and European pop charts, the Beatles traveled to New York to make their American debut. On February 9, 1964, they appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show, a weekly variety program that at once exposed them to an estimated audience of 70 million, an event unanimously identified by social commentators as a turning point in the post-war American culture, unquote. Following this, the Beatles created a phenomenon in society known as Beatlemania. Creating career-making songs such as Please Please Me, their second single in 1963 and their first #1 hit in the UK, the Beatles released a plethora of beloved songs, even today, such as Let It Be, Yesterday, Hey Jude, Here Comes the Sun, and many, many others. However, all good things must come to an end. The Beatles broke up in the 1970s. The reason for this was that each member was beginning to seek individual expression and growth in their artistic values. This led to solo projects, and eventually the band's breakup. Some theorize that John Lennon's relationship with Yoko Ono was a big turning point in the band's breakup. The fans were devastated, and this marked the end of an era, leaving a void in the music world. However, even after the band's breakup, and decades later, their legacy remains unparalleled even today. The Beatles also had a great impact on society. In the 2018 novel, Teaching the Beatles by Hugh Jenkins and Paul O. Jenkins, we read, quote, "The Beatles had a significant impact on the discussion of social issues, both directly through their art, activism, and interviews, and indirectly by generating discourse about them and what they represented," unquote. During the civil rights movement, the Beatles refused to perform in front of segregated audiences, and they released Blackbird, which symbolized the struggle for freedom and civil rights. During the Vietnam War, the Beatles opposed the conflict by releasing anti-war anthems such as Revolution and Give Peace a Chance. The Beatles have also influenced many other musical artists, such as Oasis, Coldplay, and U2. The Beatles even had an influence on music, as they are some of the first bands to create music videos, and they laid the groundwork for future bands to create similar music videos. The Beatles even had an impact on fashion. Their psychedelic clothing made fashion trends an era during the 60s, and London became the forefront of the fashion world. However, the Beatles did not just represent fashion, they impacted society by representing peace, love, and unity. So there you have it. The members, their career, and their impact in society. The Beatles have influenced and impacted people and rock bands ever since the 60s. The members of the band that make up the Beatles, Paul McCartney, John Lennon, Ringo Starr, and George Harrison, have made a print on music that will never be forgotten. In closing, the Beatles' melodies and harmonies, forever sublime, etched their name in history as masters of time. Thank you.